Good morning, Kota territory. Welcome to the Kota Now desk and welcome back to another DIY Friday Delights. I'm your host, Mimi Herrick, and this week we are joined by the wonderful meteorologist, Ryan Hill. Ryan, thank you so much for joining us.
It's a pleasure.
I am very excited to have you here today because we're actually talking about a hobby that you personally are really passionate about, which is photography, right? And you don't always need necessarily maybe a fancy camera to participate in photography. We all have one of these, right? So
these are fancy cameras in and of themselves.
Yes. Tell me a little bit about how you first got involved in photography.
Well, I think it was the stuff behind me and weather that really got me into it. I mean, for all my life, I've been into thunderstorms, and they're an incredible spectacle of nature, and they were what inspired me to become a meteorologist. And I wanted to learn, where does lightning come from? Where's thunder come from? And then it, pardon the term, snowballed from there.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a really great way to put it. Now, you did take this photo here behind us of Aurora Borealis. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the techniques you used to take this photo?
Yeah, I have a Samsung Galaxy S21 right here. And what you do, I know it's got a night mode on that. You can use that in certain contexts, but it's more recommended to go in here and see where you have the pro mode. If there's a pro photo, I don't know if you've got an iPhone right here.
I'm looking on the iPhone. There's filters. Timer. Oh, I can change the exposure here. Is that what you're looking for?
You can change the exposure. If you can change the exposure, the ISO on it, I think that's all that you need. Well, focal length, if that can be changed, it depends on the camera really. But let's see here. Yeah, you would definitely want an ISO of at least 800 or as much as 1600. You start with that, and then you can, if your ISO is 800, perhaps you would rather use a 30-second exposure. You change the exposure time too.
Okay.
So that you can leave it on a flat surface or on a tripod. This one, I took it on top of a table out in my backyard back in Noblesville, Indiana. This was back in May of last year when we had that incredible solar storm. And it was guaranteed we were going to get aurora right overhead, which we did. And all these colors popped. It was just absolutely wonderful. That's some sciencey stuff. That's all these different gases in the atmosphere interacting with the charged electrons that are being sent our way from the sun. We have some of those going on currently, although not quite as potent or intense as this. This was absolutely amazing.
Yeah, last year's I remember that because it was a huge deal, right, to be able to see all of these aurora borealis in places where you typically don't see them. Can you tell me a little bit about, let's say someone wants to take a photo of lightning, or they want to try and catch some lightning. What would you recommend is the best way to do that?
Well, there's devices available. I would imagine you would be able to go to your trusty Amazon.com and find something there. I've recently heard that there's a device that you can attach to either your phone via USB right here, or on your camera. You could put it together with your DSLR, and it would be able to sense that lightning and snap it at the right time. I usually take video first, and then
you can get the frame that way.
Yes, exactly.
That's a smart way to do it. And you know, there's a lot more to photography, obviously, than just weather photos, although I know you're a big fan of the weather photos. When you're out and about and you just want to snap a picture of, let's say, a flower, how would you recommend people compose a picture?
Definitely get the subject in the center. If you've got a bunch of flowers around you, it's really nice to, there's something really cool. Like if you have your camera on manual focus, make sure that you tap where it, like say for instance, it's one of these. If you're taking a photo Ooh, I was just about to drop it.
So on the iPhone, you can tap that focal point there. That's going to be light, and then you can adjust the exposure that way, at least for iPhone. That'll be a good way to change your photo there.
You always make sure that, you look at the subject and then kind of adjust your settings to make sure that it pops. Definitely make sure that if you're in autofocus, you're fine. That you're definitely fine. But yeah, that's definitely what I would do on here. You can, on some phones, you can lock the exposure if you are particularly happy with the way that is. That you can do that by tapping this. It'll give you a lock icon right here, and you can tap that. And once it's yellow, at least that's what it does for me on my Samsung phone. Your focus, it's locked. So you'll be fine that way.
Interesting. I think that's a really good way to, sort of get into everything. And now that we've talked a little bit about photography, you at home, if you're following along here, just take your phone, practice taking some pictures of different things around your house while we continue to talk here. But Ryan, now let's talk about you personally, right? Because that's why you're here on DIY Friday Delights. The DIY is fun and all, and it's something for us to do with our hands, but we're talking to each other, obviously. So you came to Kota territory a year ago on Wednesday, because we have the same, we're twins.
We did.
Our Kotaversary is the same day.
Kotaversary twins.
And so before that, you were in Indiana. Can you tell me a little bit about what made you sort of choose weather?
Wow. Besides learning about thunderstorms, I found weather fascinating because of all of the different processes that are, all of the different stuff that goes into creating the weather that we experience. I wanted to get in weather because not only are you helping people out, figure out their day, what they need to wear, but you're also saving their lives. In the case of severe weather, we get that around here. I remember it was a few weeks into when I was first here, as a matter of fact. We had I think it was in June, I had my first tornado warning cut in, and there's all this stuff to remember about what you say, what you do, how long you're on air. And this is kind of a time where I can say, look, if we have a tornado warning, we're gonna, especially in an area that is densely populated, we're gonna go wall to wall with that, and there's all the process behind that, but we do that as a public service to keep people safe, to keep people like, okay, you may not be in the same county, but you can then tell if you know someone in that county or specifically in that area, in that warning polygon, like, hey, look, this is what meteorologist Ryan Hill or Chief Meteorologist David Stradling or whoever's on at the particular time, this is what they're noticing. They say you're in the area. You might have seen it on your phone, but it's the public service aspect of being a part of meteorology. It's helping people. For the longest time, I've wanted to help people, and this is one of the greatest ways, combining one of my passions for my ever-growing passion for science with helping people out. Yeah. Using that knowledge to kind of walk people through. I love telling people about how it works, simplifying it. That's always a fun little thing.
Oh my gosh, weather is such a fun thing to do, and obviously you're very passionate about it, but what was something that you found particularly challenging, maybe your first time in front of the green screen or something?
Oh yeah, that was. Taking it back to, what was it, 2021? Yeah, it was, fall of 2021. Remember those days we were still like wearing masks and everything?
Oh yeah.
And we had to wear masks indoors and stuff like that. It was, originally we were like, if you got the 2 shots, you're great. And then it was like, irrespective of vaccination status, you're wearing your mask. So everything was different then.
Totally.
At least we could take them off in front of the green screen, but you had to have
Social distancing.
You had to have all
Yeah.
that social distancing.
I remember, obviously I don't do weather. I'm not a meteorologist by any means. I have no idea what you guys talk about or how the forecasting works. I mean, I listen, but it doesn't make sense to me, the science-wise. But I remember in college, they had us go in front of the green screen for the first time. I don't know how you guys get so good at pointing at the right place, because I was pointing to the opposite side of everything so wrong. I was like, oh, this is New York when it was California. Just so terrible.
Yeah, I was there my first time too. My arms were like kind of flailing this way and that, and I'm kind of adjust. We have an audition. We had an audition process. It was Newslink, Indiana. We have this student-run news organization at Ball State University, and it was awesome. You get such great and wonderful experience. Whether it's for weather or not, pun intended, whether or not it's for weather or for news or for sports, you have incredible opportunities. There's people all over the place, friends of mine who are now in this business, like myself, who are out there because of what that gave them. And this audition, like, people show up in droves. It's totally one crazy scene. You have all these people lined up to audition in different roles. You've got the two anchors. You've got the sports person that's auditioning, and then you got the weather. Le moi right here. So we're all lined up, all out into the newsroom. We had this newsroom that was on the second floor of where the, I think it was like the Student Union building.
And how did you feel going into that audition?
Oh, I was excited, but I was nervous as hell.
Yeah, I completely understand
That was my very first time with the green screen.
Yeah, the first time with the green screen, I can imagine, is really hard. And Ryan, you do a lot of interesting stuff here around Kota territory, because you're not only a meteorologist, you've also reported for us.
Yeah, and that's where this photography thing really launched off even more than what it was now. What it was then when I first started here. I've learned all these different techniques on how to do, there's this thing, oh, this is so cool. I sent you
The video, yes,
a video
the
of,
rack focus.
yeah, it was from my Love Inc. Kota Care story.
Yes, and just for people who don't know, a rack focus is where you start out of focus on one thing, I believe, or focused on the background, and you pull that focus back onto the foreground or something in the foreground.
Yeah, that's why it's called sometimes a focus pull. Like you pull in from something, or you pull out from, like, say, a table to another table with like a dining room table with chairs.
If you've watched any movie, you've definitely seen a rack focus. They can use it a lot of times in those scenes to really shift who's talking, the perspective, things like that. It's a really useful technique. And that was a really cool, that was a really cool shot that you had in that story. As a reporter, what would you say was your favorite story?
Oh my gosh, I got several. I think the Love Inc. of the Black Hills one was one of my favorites. But anything weather that I got to go to talk to National Weather Service meteorologists, I was geeking out. I was like, and all the time that I wasn't shooting B-roll, or sometimes when I was, I mean, I was, I was like, oh, look, there's that. So how long have you, blah, 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 blah. Just kind of yapping it up with the meteorologist there. Just, I've loved every chance that I could get to talk to them and get their perspective on something, because it helps me as a forecaster too, not only as an MMJ, since I do a little of that on the side. Of course, it's different now since since Eric passed. We're doing things differently. We're filling different positions right now, and I've been doing weather pretty much full time, which excites me. That's what I got into the biz for.
Yeah.
But I really have gained a lot of good experiences and a lot of good knowledge being a reporter. Like how you focus on a subject and how you shoot a scene to tell the story.
Yes.
And even editing.
Editing is hard.
It's tough, but it's also once you It's one thing by one thing. Get that down. Okay, good. Go on to the next. It's really cool to be able to like, oh yeah, I can use this to enhance the storytelling here. Like if any of you have ever run into a Brad Walton, our Brad Walton is very, very keen on all these different techniques in editing too, to really bring your story, do all these cool effects and zooms and whatnots, the layouter tool and all that other thing, all the other things that you've got. It's so cool. It's so
really,
cool once
it's a
you have to figure it
creative
out.
process for sure. And I think that's going to be almost all the time we have for today. But thank you so much for joining us here on DIY Friday Delights. I hope you guys got some good, useful phone hacks for photography or just general photography tips. My name is Mimi Herrick, and this is Ryan Hill. We'll see you next week.
Good to